racing immediately. But a champion becomes a legend. Maccabi Diva wins it again.
Yes, yes, yes. Wins the Everest. Glenn Boss wins another big one.
Who's the Boss? We're back again. The great racing continues, and the great man Glenn Boss is here alongside me, Adam Peacock. Bossy, how are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm great. I can't wait. Probably one of my greatest days at the races, Doncaster Day. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this.
Yeah, you've won a couple.
Won a couple.
Double a couple, and then
yep.
a few more as well.
But
so.
it is one of the great race days that we have on the calendar, I must admit.
So we need a guest befitting of the occasion.
Correct.
So we've got one. The great
Greatest.
Jim Cassidy's back again on Who's the Boss.
The
Pumper.
greatest.
Yeah, great to be here, boys. As Bossy said, it's a great week coming up. One of the great race days. Big crowds, great jockeys, spectacular horse flesh out there, and let's rip into it.
Fantastic. So you've got some stories to tell about your great times in Sydney racing. You've done the life story on Who's the Boss back in season 1. That was an enthralling listen. I encourage everyone to go back there. Our legal department really loved it as well. But no, in all seriousness, it was a great listen, great watch. But today's more about the great moments that you've had in Sydney racing, also you, Bossy, with Doncaster Day, and the moments you've shared as well, because you're great mates.
Yeah, it is. And I'd say, well, Randwick is my favourite racetrack in Australia, closely followed by Flemington. But Randwick is where we did most of our trade.
Yep.
Road work there mostly every morning. So Randwick become part of our DNA. So to ride big winners there on the big stages, it's nothing better.
Yeah, and this week is the day that jockeys have got to go to the next level. Me sitting on the sideline now and including Glenn, you sit there and watch individual jockeys, big pressure races coming up, good for owners, breeders, all of the top echelon. So we like to see our great jockeys go to the next level and put on a big performance over the weekend in these great races we've got.
Before we roll into it, how did you ensure that you're at your peak on a day like this? The night before, take us through the pumper preparation for a big race day like this.
Yeah, look, normally a bit of golf on a Friday, no phone calls, relax, go and have a nice sauna massage in the afternoon. Pretty much early night, get up and go and ride a few work for Gai Saturday morning, which I used to love doing. You'd jump on 6 or 7 for Gai, just loosen up, get the mind right. Gai would always sit you on your butt before you left because it was a big day coming up, whether you're on one of hers or riding one in the Doncaster or Derby or whatever for her. But look, preparation never really changed. I didn't get too much into the form, didn't complicate it, kept it basic, followed jockeys like Bossy and J-Mac or the top boys riding good horses, and that's the way to get good rides, good run and running, and interrupted runs following the good jocks and big races. That's what it's all about.
That Friday sounds like a great life. Golf, sauna, massage, dinner, early night.
Early night.
Clean living.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bossy, were you the same?
Yeah, pretty well. I would like to do that as well. Like a Friday, I'd get up and train. I had a trainer, a personal trainer. We'd train on Friday. I'd like to go and have a hit of golf on a Friday or something like that. Then sit down and do my form. I'd probably a little bit different to pumps. I'd really dive into my form, and I'd spend probably 2 or 3 hours at least on the form, especially how scenarios in my head. And same thing, early night. We love getting up in the morning, riding work on a Saturday. Because you'd be around people like Gai, and she's got this infectious kind of,
that enthusiasm, the bubbliness.
So you'd walk out of the track feeling good,
Yeah, you're feeling up before you get there.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to have on them big days. Mentally focused, preparation's right. As Glenn said, he done a lot of form. I didn't do a lot for the reason that things change so quick when you get out there. Why sit there and do 4 hours form when it's going to change in 1 second?
Yeah, but different strokes for different
Oh,
folks.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's how it worked for you guys.
Well, he won 7 Doncasters, I won 1. That must have been something in the form.
We'll get to all of that. We'll get to all of that and some great stories. There's the TJ Smith Stakes in the first day of the championship. So we've got some stories about TJ Smith, the great trainer of over 30 premierships in Australia and father of Gai. Of course, the Derby, the Doncaster, the Sires, they're the Group 1s on day 1 of the championships. But it's a fantastic carnival at Randwick. The 2 big days, the championships, and then it's not an afterthought. There's still Group 1 racing on that 3rd Saturday. But before we roll into it, a special shout out to our good friends from AirTouch, airtouch.net.au. Get in touch with them to help out with all your air conditioning needs. We're going into winter, so heating, of course, it works as well. And Bossy, it's the remote control that you can have over your air conditioning or air temperature controls inside your house. And you're moving at the moment, but you can just take the air touch from one place to another.
Yeah,
Easy
you can.
as.
I mean, it's incredible to think that 5 years ago, even you think you could control everything from your phone. And that's where technology's got now. So it just saves you time, saves you power. You just program it before you get home, or turn it off. Even if you forgot to turn it off when you leave, you just go, hang on, bang, turn it off.
Easy.
So easy.
So thank you to the crew at AirTouch for supporting Who's the Boss, and check them out at airtouch.net.au. A reminder to get in touch with us here at Who's the Boss. We're on YouTube at Who's the Boss. Also, that's the Instagram handle. We're on TikTok. We're on everything. We're on absolutely everything, and really rolling in season 3. So all those episodes there are on YouTube, and this one will be special as well, given the intel that we're going to get from the two gentlemen to my right about what it's like to ride on a big day at Randwick. So guys, with Randwick, what's the idiosyncrasies about getting it right at a track like this? It looks like most horses have their fair share of opportunity to do okay, but what do you have to get right if you're the pilot?
Yeah, I mean, just for instance, the Doncaster, you'll always have a full field, 20 runners. You really got to nail the start. If you don't commit and get that first 200 metres right, you're in a world of pain for a long way. So if you can commit and get that part of the race right, and then just let the race unfold. And I was always taught, if you can, there's a rise there. There is a rise at the top. If you can come up that rise on the bridle, you know that you're going to be in the finish. Because if you're pushing up the hill, it's not a huge rise, but it's at the right part of the race where horses are under pressure. And if you can still be coming up that rise on the bridle a little bit, you know that you're going to be in the finish.
Trouble-free run I always found in any race, whether it's your Derby, your Doncaster, or a maiden at Wyong today. You must have uninterrupted runs. You must have your horse flowing, balanced, all the little things. Stop, start in a race. You must be able to judge your pace. So, as Glenn said, you've got to commit at the start, put yourself in the race where you want to be, but trouble-free run is what you want. You don't want to be stop-starting. Some horses with light weights can overcome disadvantages in a race, stop-start. 9 times out of 10 they can't. They've got to be well above average to be able to do that. So my biggest thing was trouble-free run. Give them a nice, cosy run, uninterrupted, and following the right jockeys is a big thing.
With the rise, just on that, like I've seen plenty of guys and girls out the front after the last going to that taxi rank out the front of Randwick there and think they're running downhill and it's all turned out horribly for them. When you go over the rise on a horse where you know your chance, do you get that? Is it like that? Does it give you that momentum for the last 300? You kind of come down those steps almost and you roll into it, or you got to be careful to keep your horse balanced over it?
Well, no, it's not really so much keeping balanced. If you know that, because it's about the 350 metre mark from home, about 370. If you're off the bridle at the 370, you're not going to be generally in the finish,
Pretty
right?
much. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
Enjoy the ride.
You're not going to be in the finish. But the thing, if you just come up the hill and you've got a lot of bit of horse underneath you, you get to the top of the hill and you can actually let them go. They'll actually give you a really good kick off it. But that goes for saying if you're at Flemington or anywhere, if you're still on the bridle at the 350 metre mark, you're basically still going to be in the finish. But
Randwick was a track 15 years ago when there was a decent rise. You had to be balanced. You'd like your horse taking you to the rise instead of making it get there. Yeah. Because as Glenn just said, if you're making it get there, you're pretty much on empty. So you want to have a horse taking you into the race. And that was the great thing about riding for Gai and Tommy. Most of their horses would take you to the top of the rise. Very seldom they'd take you to the bottom of the rise. They would take you to the top of the rise. Whether they accelerated and let down or not was another thing, but they were trained that way. And it was a great thing to ride for Gai, wasn't it, Tommy? Because whether they were on a 50-1 chance or an even money pop, they would still take you to the top of the rise.
No one had them fitter. And interesting fact about the rise, Adam, like when they completely did Randwick, they had a laser. They had it all lasered out, and they actually had a grader driven by a satellite. Yeah. And they have exactly the same rise as it was previously. They had it down to like within an inch of the exactly same contours, because they wanted to keep that tradition of the rise at Randwick, which is part of the race, part of the track.
It's part of the history, and it was great to ride on. be patient. And as I said, there was nothing better than riding one, with all respect to all the other trainers, but Gai and Tommy's horses knew truck up the rise, and if you're good enough, they'll let down.
So was there similarities between, obviously TJ passed it on to Gai about certain things about training, but was it like, it was like TJ had continued on training with the way
very
Gai
much so.
prepared the
Yeah,
horses?
look, Gai was obviously a great daughter, a great listener, and a great watcher. And she learned all that from Dad. She must have, because she's a genius in her own right. Wonderful trainer. And you know, you look at different trainers. I think we talk about someone, the King, Bart. The one that I've seen the best learn off Bart is James Cummings. And it's the writing's on the wall. If you look, listen, I remember riding for Bart, going to the sales. He said to me one day, he said, "Son, think you're at school." I said, "What do you mean, Mr. Cummings?" He said, "Don't be scared to ask questions and put your hand up." He said, "That's the only way you learn."
Fair enough.
And I never stopped doing it when I was around the King.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like Gai, everyone talks about how fit she gets her horses and that, and everyone thinks, oh, she must be hard on them. She's hard on them to a point, and when she gets them fit, then she just keeps them happy. You know, she doesn't keep going through the prep, galloping them. She gets them to a point, and she goes, "Okay, well, I've got you where I want you. All I have to do now is just keep you breathing, give you a feed, and keep you ticking over."
Well, the record stands up, doesn't it? The way she produces them over these big days, big miles, derbies, the whole lot.
The 2-year-old, she's just
2-year-old, she's just magic.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
We'll get to the tips a bit later on, TJ Smith, and we'll get some stories about the Donny and the Derby shortly. But TJ Smith, the guy who the legend who the Group 1 over 1,200 metres is named after on day one of the championships. Surely you guys have got a TJ Smith story. Everyone in racing who's been around for a period
It's a
have
shame
got a TJ Smith.
that they made the TJ a 1,200 metre race. It probably should have been a derby because he was around for that long and so many stories and helped so many people, jockeys. But look, Tommy's voice was just something else. I remember riding a 2-year-old for him that done a little left-hand turn at Randwick when we had the woodchip crossing at the 1,000-metre mark.
Yeah. Why did it do the left-hand turn?
Well, it thought it was going home, see.
That's a problem in a race, isn't it?
It was a problem, yeah, very big, especially when you're on the $1.50 pop. And it was about my third ride for the great man. And naturally, the horse was pretty much pulled up out of the race and run a distance last. Obviously, stewards inquired into it and blah, blah. The horse was cleared to race again and come out and won the following week. But I come in and naturally being very nervous, having my third ride for the great man. He said, "Don't worry about it, Jimmy." He said, "The other one won." He said, "It doesn't matter." But what a man to ride for. I was lucky enough early days when I first shifted to Sydney. I rode a couple in Brisbane for them. I can even remember the first horse I ever rode for him was a horse called Bring Home. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it home. It ran an unlucky second, and I thought my days were numbered riding for TJ, but he goes, "Don't worry about it, son." He said, You'll learn pretty quick in this game." And I did.
Yeah, he was incredible. Wasn't he?
Incredible man.
And he was a big punter, like a fearless punter back in the day. So he would punt to buy a home, and he ended up with a lot of homes all through the eastern suburbs. I remember one time when I first got down to not long in Sydney, I moved to the suburb Malabar, out near the coast there. And he said, "Oh, I used to own Malabar once." and I said, "Serious?" "Yeah, I own the whole lot." And he wasn't joking. He wasn't joking. So he just kept buying homes and homes in Malabar, and it forced a lot of people out, and the prices went up, and then he sold. Incredible.
Smart horse trainer and smart investor.
Yeah. He, for a guy who, and that's probably what drove him, because he came to Sydney from the country with absolutely nothing. I think his first ever winner was called Bragger.
Yeah.
And he didn't mind. He wasn't a bragger, was he? He was just confident and knew how to get his horses right.
Look, he knew how to get them right. Turn up at the track, very distinguished gentleman, dressed in his suit and
What, track work?
Immaculate.
track work, immaculate. Tommy.
Immaculate.
He'd have a suit on at the track, and when you talked to Tommy, you listened.
Yeah.
Very much like Bart, because what the advice you were getting was normally 100% right, and you only had to look at him to see what he achieved, and to learn something was very special. I remember I was lucky enough to come here in '84 and for Nebo Lodge, and they set up to try and knock off Tommy Smith, who had, I think, won 34 consecutive premierships. So being part of Nebo Lodge knocking off TJ in our first year was certainly something special. But I I remember the presentation, seeing Tommy standing back in the background watching him. Oh, don't worry, team. We'll get him again next year.
Yeah.
As he did.
As he did.
As he did.
He used to, towards the end, when Tommy was about to pass over to Gai, he would still obviously, as he'd look and make it, but he'd, the old, at the crossing at the 2,000 metre mark, I'd wait there every morning for him because he'd turn up in his Rolls Royce.
The Rolls, yeah.
And his sight was failing. You couldn't believe he'd still turn up in his Rolls, right? So, and from the 2,000 metre parking spot there, you have to go across about 5 tracks to get to the hut in the middle. So I'd wait there every morning and we'd walk across. So, because Gai said, you've got to wait for Dad. So we walk across these tracks and he'd be wandering along with his head down, we'd telling stories and blah, blah, blah. And you'd probably see 15 horses go past and also he'd go, what's that one? What's that one, Glenn? So he'd see 15, but it'd be March Hare or it'd be a Group 1 horse.
Yeah.
Freaky. Like he would see 10 horses go past, but he'd never even bat an eyelid. But the one that was a good horse, he'd go, oh, we might try and buy that.
He could hear a good one.
He could see it.
He could see it.
He could see it. And he'd say, oh, we'll try and buy that. I said, oh, boss, you can't probably buy that one, But
I remember a trainer one day had a horse out, how Tommy parades, has horses like Gai does still today, walking around ready for jockeys to get on and off. And there was another interstate trainer or someone there, and his horse got mixed up with Tommy's. And he heard him yell out, what's that one? What's that one? And someone yelled out, that's not your horse, Mr. Smith. And he goes, by the look of it, I better train it. He was the best.
He was the best.
It was very comical.
They broke the mould.
Yeah, he was a pleasure to ride for, and then to move on to Gai was even better.
You had to ride a winner for him, and wouldn't be a race later. He'd walk in with cash.
He'd sling you.
He'd walk in with cash. Come here, come on, bub. Come here, son. He'd give what a cash. In between races. It's like, this is unbelievable.
Shout out to the Australian Tax Office as well. Those days are gone, of course. Everything's above board here at Who's the Boss. Those days are
cash
gone.
is gone.
There's a statute of limitations, I think, with things like that, Bossy. So you're in the clear. It's all good. It's all good. But did you experience that as well from TJ? And
I had a lot of luck
winning.
for TJ over a short time. Obviously, he had a lot of wonderful jockeys riding for him, and at the time, and the time that I had with him, I really appreciated it and took it in because I was only young, and when I got the opportunity to ride for him early was special. And I had a lot of luck for Tommy. I think the last horse I won on for him was his good little horse he had, Stony Bay. Went and galloped it one morning at the track, and he goes, since you turned up, son, he said, you were on it Saturday? And he must have liked it because he actually came out and legged me on it in the mounting yard, which TJ never done very often. But I was privileged just to ride for the great man.
Let's get into Doncaster, shall we? And before we go through Bossy's back catalogue here, because it's a bloody good one in this particular race, the mile at Randwick, the classic mile race. Jimmy, you won a special Doncaster. Your Doncaster win was on a horse called Vision and Power, which was in the same colours as Might and Power for the same owner, Nick Moratis. What was that particular day like? Because this horse wasn't obviously as good as Might and Power.
No, look, he was no flash horse by any stretch of the imagination, and credit to Joe Pride. He got him later on as a 5 or 6 year old or 5-year-old, I think, and he turned him into a Group 1 horse. He run in the Ryder, George Ryder, the week before. He'd come through a race at Canterbury, was winning, running well, up in the weights, and then he said, Pump, he said, we'll run him in the George Ryder, which is always a good guide ever since I've been in Sydney.
It's the best guide, I'd say.
The best guide going into the Doncaster. And I thought, well, if he could run, and it wasn't a vintage George Ryder that year. But look, he stood up and put his name in the frame, and he won by a nose, I think, carried 59, and then he come back to the Doncaster with a pleasurable 52 or 51 and a half or something, which put him right in the race.
Was that pleasurable for you to get down to that weight?
Well, it wasn't pleasurable, but I done it because I knew he had a great chance of winning. Look, it was a good feeling winning that race for Joe Pride in the respect it was one of his early Group 1 winners. He'd turned a pretty ordinary horse, mediocre horse, into a Group 1 chance. And he'd done that backed up after the George Ryder to come out and win the Doncaster. So that was special, obviously, for Nick and Might and Power's colours. And
Because you said about Nick in your previous episode that Nick, the extent of his racing knowledge generally went towards the fact that he sold fruit and vegetables very, very successfully, and that was about it. So
that was about
his racing knowledge was there.
Yeah.
But to give him a moment like that, because Nick used to tear up when he had
very
a good
much.
moment.
Look,
Was
he put a lot of money into the game, and people. I've got the respect that people that do that deserve some success back, or a lot more than others, because they've been there for a long time, and he was one that done that, and number of different trainers, number of great. I mean to say, he was blessed. He had Might and Power. He had Exceed and Excel. He had a number of a lucky day. Come from a 1400 metre maiden at Hawkesbury to run in a Melbourne Cup and run second. So look, was Doncaster for Nick was good.
Not as good as it was for this fella.
Oh mate, he just kept racking them up.
7.
Yeah.
Why? How?
And could have been a few more too. Honestly,
that
could have been.
typifies the competitiveness of G Boss, because he thinks first of the ones that could have been.
There was a few that
could have been 10.
It could have been close to it actually. Yeah,
Wow.
There was a close couple of seconds and a couple of unlucky runs that you should have won. But it started back in '96 for me for Gai. She had Sprint By, and he was what a horse he was. I won a maiden on him at a 1400 metre maiden on him at Hawkesbury. And I was on tape after the interview. I said, this horse will win at Doncaster after he won his maiden. And I rang Gai on the way and I said, this is a proper horse. And not long after, he did. He was, but she did an incredible job to get him to win that. What happened? He ran in the rider and caught it. He overreached and tore the bulb. He tore the bulb off his front foot.
Oh.
Come back in the enclosure after he ran third, and I thought I were gone here, and blood was everywhere. So she had 2 weeks, mate. I don't know how she did it.
To work a magic?
To work a magic. And I had to ride him work every day. I was in there walking him, then I was trotting him, and he couldn't. So 10 days out, he was struggling. I thought we're gone. On the Saturday before, we got him into a bit of a canter. Then the vets come out and checked him on the Tuesday, and we got him somehow past. Wednesday I galloped him, the Doncaster before the Doncaster that week, but Gai knew that this horse was such a competitive animal. Once he got out there on race day, he would not even feel the pain.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what happened. He was just an amazing racehorse, and he come out and won the Doncaster, my first Doncaster. It was just incredible. And I call it our 5th major. It is our 5th major because it's got great history. It's the right distance. It's a handicap in Australia. It's one of our best racetrack. It's like the Players, when the golf, it's their 5th major, and this is what the Doncaster is.
I was going to bring that up actually today. I was looking at it. Obviously, we've got the 4 majors, the scene of the majors. So if there is to be a 5th major officially, it probably has to be in Sydney, because 3 of them are in Melbourne, Cox Plate, Caulfield Cup, Melbourne Cup. Up here it's Golden Slipper. Everest has gone from there to there very, very, very quickly. But you would hold the Doncaster above. Like if we were to officially say, today, gents,
it is.
We get the right to name the 5th major, you go Doncaster?
I asked someone's opinion who I value highly, is Bruce McAvaney, and he said, yes, it's the 5th major.
It's been here forever. The other one's been here 5 minutes.
But if you look at its history, you're right.
Is it? Not hard to work out, is it?
Yeah, but you've got to have the history, and champions have won this race. Jockeys, champion trainers. So, that's what you can. That's how you hold it and it's a race that everyone wants to win. Everyone wants to win it. Doncaster.
Yeah, it's a great mile. It's a great mile race.
So you've had that success in it. When did you try to work out what your ride was going to be in the race? Are we talking a couple of months? Are we talking
months out? Yeah,
like late last year, like the spring.
Yeah,
and you go,
I'd made a career of targeting horses. I knew I would get lightweights. Like Jimmy 3-year-olds were having great success in Doncasters. They'd go through that rider, rider state, and then they'd go back into the handicap and they'd have 51 kilos. And just a good 3-year-old got thrown into, like Harada Sun and Racing to Win, Triple Honor, Brutal. These are the type of horses.
All no weight.
All no weight.
All no weight.
So barriers become inconsequential because they had such light weights, and you can do things on these horses and get away with it. But I kind of made an art of it, targeting the right horse that I thought their ratings were going in the right direction. And if their ratings go in the right direction and their weight was going down, you knew that you had the right kind of mix and you're going to be in the money.
And Jimmy, did you know when Bossy had won a race? Because you're behind him and you look in the distance there and there's this bloke just standing up.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all
300
about.
metres.
That's what it's all about when your mates are winning. And, you know, we do have dead heats, but not as many as people would like to think. But as I said, the cream comes to the top in the big races.
Yeah.
You give them the right run, you give them the right ride, as Glenn would do, pick it out a couple of months before. We can do that. And when things are going the right way, the preparation's good. Barrier draws in a Doncaster don't really matter to me a lot. They're a number. Give them the right ride, right weight. You're in the mix, aren't you?
Yeah,
Cream
yeah.
comes to the top.
You told that great story on your previous episode of here of who's the boss of the 1997 Caulfield Cup when you turned to the field
Oh,
at the
that was the
600 and
best.
said, "See you later, boys. I'm out of here
thanks for
on
coming."
Might and Power," and you won by
Yeah.
about 14 lengths. Did Bossy ever do that when he was zooming past you on a lightweight in a Doncaster? Say, "See you, boys. I'm on the Ferrari here."
The weight they had, he was about the only jockey I ever seen wear a seatbelt. They were off and gone.
Were you a talker when you went past one, or you were just concentrating
sometimes
on?
I'd have a bit
Sometimes you have a bit of a gig,
but
don't
yeah,
you?
you have
know?
a bit of a gig.
But,
But
nine times out of 10, you just
just
focused.
you're too into the moment.
You're too in the moment. Yeah.
especially the big ones. But
Yeah.
that story about when he won the Caulfield Cup, I was third defence behind him, and I actually what the. I actually went, did I just hear that? Because it was like the cheeky, "Thanks for coming, boys." It's like, what the? You don't expect to hear that, right? And then
so
he just galloped off into the sunset.
Well, that was like Glenn said. He picked the horse out. I won a 2-win race on him at Canterbury.
Yep.
And picked him out to win a Caulfield Cup.
Yeah.
Got it right. Got
Yeah.
it 100%
Well,
right.
you know when you get on the good ones.
When you get a good one.
And Bossy, in 2008, you won on Triple Honour
Yes.
for this up-and-coming train, Chris Waller. What's happened to him since? Kind of gone off the radar, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, I helped put the bloke on the map.
First Group 1 for him.
Yeah, his first Group 1. Chris was starting to make a name for himself in Sydney, but, you know, he hadn't kind of broken through yet. And I watched Triple Honour. He ran in the George Ryder and did a lot wrong. He pulled over race and only got beaten about 2 lengths. Did everything he could to get beaten 6 and he got beaten 2. And I rang Chris. I said, "This will win the Doncaster." And he went, You do you think so? I said, "Chris, he's got 51 kilos. Can I ride him? I think he can win." And Chris wasn't convinced, but I was. And I flew back from Hong Kong and won his first Group 1, which was obviously a great race to win. And he's made an art of it since.
That's
As
it.
you what?
As we sit here right now, it's 175 cents. 176 Group 1s he's listed as
Yes.
on the AAP Racing and Sports.
I might have
pretty
rode
sure
that many if they hadn't kept rubbing me out.
Yeah, you would have. You would have too.
Sorry about
Pumps.
Ollie holding the record. Pup would have held it.
Did you ride for him much? Did you ride for him much? Chris
Waller?
Waller?
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, rode a heap. I think I rode me last 8 or 9 Group 1 winners for Chris.
Yeah.
Obviously Zoo Star being the last one, but yeah, and a lot of Group 1s for Chris, a lot of fun. Being the great Kiwi, another one. Gone from strength to strength. How big can you get? You might have to buy Tasmania and start training there too. Need some more room for stables, but yeah, look, he's taken it all before him. Great man, great trainer. He's obviously, I see a lot of the way he trains, a bit of Bart. He seems to have a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
Yeah.
I think he's done it very well, the way he's handpicked a few things, listening and watching. And
Is that the patience factor? That
Oh,
Bart was
100%.
renowned for?
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, Chris doesn't make a lot of, well, when I was riding for him, not a lot of decisions quickly. He'll sleep on it overnight or something like that and make a decision the next day, which is always very smart. It's working for him and he's continued to do it. So, yeah, funny to see him, Glenn ride his first Group 1 for him and 176 later and going half pace. Hasn't let his head go yet. Let him go, Chris. You'll win 300.
He's a chance.
Big chance.
Oh yeah.
Big chance. Sky's the limit.
When
Bart
you've
and
got-
TJ on 246. That's the
Yeah,
record in
he'll go
Australia.
there. He'll get there. He's got plenty of time in front of him.
Oh,
But the best
yeah,
part about Chris has got himself in such a position now with the bullets he's got to fire. If he knows he's got a superstar and it's not quite ready, it's not a big deal for him to put it away and forget
No,
it
you'll
for 3
put it
months
in the
because he's got so many bullets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he goes, "Oh, forget that one. We'll see you in 3 months." Where most people go, "Oh, this is me good horse. I need to keep this one in the
But
stable."
the big thing I've noticed about Chris Waller, he's been able to turn ordinary racehorses into very good racehorses and go to the next step all the time. He'll take them to a Group 3, then a Group 2, and then he might miss a Group 2 and bang, straight to Group 1.
But his ability,
Gets the
Jimmy,
chocolates.
to longevity with his horses. It's incredible.
Well, he doesn't kill them. He doesn't keep pounding them.
No, he doesn't pound them.
Places them very well.
Yep.
And that's what you've got to do to win big races.
So he's got 5 in this year's Doncaster, including
Yep.
militarised. Do you know the story behind militarised in the last 12 months?
Well, he did go to stud, didn't he?
Off it went.
Yeah, fired blanks.
Yeah, had to come back, and he had the unkindest cut as
Yeah.
well. That's a
Yeah.
harsh way to kind of move on with life, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it is.
But that's just, it's a harsh game.
It's a harsh
He's going to
game.
be running down the track here at Randwick on Saturday going, what am I doing here?
Yeah, what am I doing
Yeah,
here?
exactly.
6
I
months
should have
ago,
put in
was
a,
like,
I should have put in a bit more.
Should have put in a bit more. He could have could have been a different perspective altogether.
Best of your 7.
The best was definitely Private Steer.
Yep.
I
Not
mean,
the
they
best
were-
horse, best ride, I mean.
Yeah, that was my best ride. It shouldn't have won. I got dealt to pretty badly about the 1400 metre mark, and it put me out of the race. I ended up last, and I had a lightweight, and it's like Jimmy. I went, oh fuck, and then but in the next millisecond, I went, okay, come on, compose. I can still win if I can just. And I just happened to cut the corner and ride her well, and she obviously had no weight, but she got up to beat Grand Army, and he was airborne at the time.
he was
he
fine.
actually came out and won the Queen Elizabeth the next
was
week.
fine.
So that I turned was a real negative into a great positive just by having a good mindset. And
Good mindset.
yeah,
Because you look at the race, and at the turn, you're wide and last. But is that you going, right, I can now put myself in the position where I can go around him if I need to,
Yeah.
or it will open, and you went the other
Yeah,
option, which was
yeah, back
correct.
back.
I went to the sort of middle to see where my options were, and I thought my option is not left, because if I go left, I'm going to cover too much ground. So
Yep.
I ducked back in, and they were getting off the fence that day,
Yeah, were.
pumps, which
Yeah,
they do often. They're a bit like sheep.
Once they
Once
start
one
tiring,
goes,
yeah.
once one goes, everyone
start
thinks, oh,
falling.
that's a spot if they see a winner there. And I thought, well, I just cut back the inside, saved a lot of ground, and got up on the inside. And then I come to the middle when I was under full pressure and got the race done.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Such a good ride. Such a good ride. The Derby, guys.
Yes.
So, okay, we've got that about the Doncaster. It's barriers inconsequential if you've got the right weight and everything. What about a Derby where the 3-year-olds are, on the edge of being 4-year-olds, so they're a little more seasoned than what they were 6 months ago? What do you need here in this race?
Well, what you need is a very mature 3-year-old, obviously. But it's funny with the Derby, they can jump out at you within a month before the race. Because what happens, you'll see them going at a mile, then you see them get to the 2,000, and then you start finding out the ones, because you'll see the ones that are going on, because it's a huge difference. When you go to a mile to 2,000 for a young horse, that's massive.
Yeah, it's a
And then to go to
step
the
for
next
them.
one,
Yep.
that's even bigger. But you can see the ones that are running through the line, or the ones that have got the ability to.
And so many of them
run
can't
on.
get a mile and a half. It's quite unbelievable. Like, as many runners as we got in the Derby Saturday, I'd be happy to say 3/4 of them won't run the trip.
Yeah, or there'll be a long
Yeah,
tail.
you've got a full field.
There'll be a
full
long
field.
tail.
So,
Yeah, from-
there's going to be so many of them. They're too immature. You throw the breeding out the window, because breeding can make a lie of you anyway. They'll
Yep.
buy a sprinting stallion and still win a mile and a half race. So
Yeah.
I don't look at that. I look at them as individuals. But it's a funny one, that, isn't it? Like, you've got to have everything go right. Barriers are a big thing in the
Yeah, they are.
Derby, because you're pretty much on the first corner. You
Yep.
jump and run 150 metres and you're turning. So, if you draw wide and you're on a horse that races forward, big advantage. You can just come out and get rolling, because everyone else is trying to get a spot. If you draw in, you can be cuddly going to the first corner, put them to sleep. I'd always try and do that and worry about the race. Wake up at the 1,000 and get the thinking cap on half mile from home.
Geez, you nearly didn't wake up one day.
Yeah,
when
one day I didn't.
when Mahogany come across and you tore your shoulder, nearly tore your rotor cuff out.
Dislocated my shoulder. I was riding one for David Hayes. I'll think of the horse. I'll think of it in a minute. Mahogany come across, Greg Hall decked me. My horse come back to the mounting yard.
Grass.
Both nostrils were blocked with grass. No wonder he couldn't run the mile and a half. and I rode with a dislocated shoulder from winning post to pulling
Thanks
up.
to Greg Hall.
Yeah, thanks to Greg Hall.
I don't know how it's a miracle.
I don't know how I
It
stayed
went
up.
that low, like I said, it's
My horse was
head-
on his knees,
on it,
gone.
yeah.
His head was in the ground. And I got back up.
Greg Hall get in trouble for it?
I think he got.
A few months, didn't he?
I think he got a month or something. Yeah.
But he won a derby
He
for
won the
Lloyd
derby
and
for
Kerry
Lloyd
Packer.
and Packer.
So it was probably worth it, yeah?
Yeah.
Well, you talk about a sprinter that won a derby. There's one right there.
Well, there's one right there.
I mean, he just had the ability to relax and had better turn of foot than
and he
everyone
was
else.
so much better than the rest of them.
Yeah, he was.
It was a freak era.
He was a
for
jet,
him.
wasn't he?
He was
Yeah.
a gem. He went to sleep, trained by Freedy, owned by Packer. What more do you want?
It's not bad. No wonder he had the will to try and get it done.
Oh, don't worry. The month was probably well worth it.
Yeah,
Played golf every day.
He
for the
played
next
golf
month.
every day for the next month. You didn't have to worry, G. The big G.
But we got a 3 filly in this year.
Eliana.
Yeah,
Eliana.
For Waller.
And I won the AJC Derby on a 3-year-old filly, so it can be done. I was surprised that they didn't run the other good 3-year-old. Won the Vinery.
Treasure's
the
Moment.
Moment.
Yeah.
I was begging with them because she would have been hard to beat.
She would have taken a lot of beating.
Yeah.
She probably would beat the boys.
Yeah, oh no,
I'd be tipping her to beat the boys, the
They
way
get
she's
3
going.
kilos
Yeah.
off the boys.
Yeah.
And
But a Kiwi's over, Jimmy. You Kiwis do know now how to come over this side of the Dutch and get it done. Will he do
Well,
it?
they've been doing it for so long. Nothing's going to change this week. I had the pleasure with Bossy to be at Ellerslie a couple of weeks ago for the running of the Derby there, and he was magnificent.
Yeah.
He paraded well. He ticked all the boxes going out.
Beautifully ridden, wasn't he?
He was beautifully
Jeez, he was
ridden.
well
He just
ridden.
give him every
Mickey D,
possible
yeah.
chance. Look, he Group 1 jockey, he rises to the occasion. Another one that's come through the ranks, and he's continuing to do it, Mickey D, and I don't see why he can't do it again
And
Saturday.
what's that ran second behind him? The Doctor of Love.
Yes.
Geez, it was good in the Derby too over there. So they might be the ones that, with this filly, I think she's going to be hard to beat too, Ariana. So, yeah, will he do it? But he just looks like a real professional, this horse.
Yeah, well, we went to the function the night before and they were questioning on his last run, will he bounce back? Can he bounce back?
But that was the ride, Jimmy.
Exactly.
was absolutely
That's what I was saying
slaughtered.
that night, and I'm thinking, hang on a minute, he was butchered.
Oh, butchered. I've never seen one butchered that bad. And honestly, it was one
That's
of the...
it. Give him a sore back. I don't think I
shit.
rode one that bad. I did get beat on one in the Derby on the line, but we might get to that later. But Mickey D, him, he was just so impressive in New Zealand. I think he's going to take a lot of licking.
Tell us the story then of when you got rolled on the line in a derby.
Oh, this
I rode a horse called Carnegie Express. I won the Rosehill Guinea, the Canterbury Guineas on him. Then I got suspended, and my brother Larry rode him in the Rosehill Guineas.
Kept it in the family.
And then Gai goes, Jimmy, you're back on him in the Derby. And there was Don Aguado, ridden by Ollie, who looked pretty much the winner because he was going to run the trip. He had 2 mile written all over him as a 3-year-old, let alone mile and a half. And my bloke was probably sus to get the trip. I was asked to get rolling 800
But
out.
they walked, remember?
They walked.
They walked in the race.
They walked. And Gai said, whatever you do, don't be scared to get rolling. My horses can run 800 metres and at their top. Well, I done what I was asked to do and I got beat right on the line. A lip. An absolute lip. But I won a Melbourne Cup by a lip and I got beaten a Derby by a lip. So it balances itself out.
Yeah, you probably wouldn't swap them, would you?
You wouldn't swap
Yeah,
it.
but
no.
like the thing is, they jumped up and down in the papers that Jimmy went too soon. But the thing is, you turn a centimetre, an inch the other way, it's one of the great. It'll go down as one of the great
I'd go-
rides.
Even Ray Murray, he said to me, not that he praised me very often, but
Chief Steward. Yeah.
he did praise me that day. He said, Jimmy, he said, you get home, one more stride. He said, you're a genius.
Yeah.
He said, George Moore probably wouldn't have won on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you took the race by the scruff of the
Yeah,
neck.
took
Because
the
no,
race.
everyone was still,
All pulling and doing this and doing
Jimmy
that.
said, I'm
but,
off. Boom.
yeah, I was asked to do what I was done, and I done it, and we got beat and copped the consequences.
Now, this is in the days of the mounting yard being at the front, not the theatre of the divorce
Yes.
out the back that they've
Yeah.
got there at Randwick. Did you cop some advice on the way back from
Oh.
on that one? Or
Geez, I think they were throwing beer cans, beer cans at that stage.
yeah, I'd throw a VB as well, actually.
Punnets of hot chips, a whole lot, tomato sauce. But I loved it. Look, they pay their money to get in the gate. You can't ride them all perfect.
Yeah.
I rode most of them pretty
Actually,
good.
you rode that horse very well.
I just
like
got
you
beat the
almost
last
stole the
stride.
you
Nearly
almost
stole the
stole one.
derby, and that's, as the pump
Yeah.
would say, that's the way the cookie crumbles.
It's a good vibe though if you get it right in front of that crowd.
Oh,
On a
you
big
get
day
it
like
right,
this.
but
Yeah.
there was plenty you get wrong, and there's plenty you get right. That's just the
That's
great game
sport.
we're in. That's
It's sport.
It's a great game we're in.
Exactly. Exactly. But Derby 3 each as well. For
Yeah,
you
3
guys.
Derbies each. Yes.
Well done, you
I
tied
won
that.
on. I went on some bloody good. Sky Heights was my first one.
Yeah,
Yep.
He went on to
Sky
win the
Heights.
Caulfield Cup.
Yeah.
He was an absolute ripper. And Starcraft, who was a horse who
Yeah,
was a
well,
miler who actually.
He sort of jumped out of the ground big and
Well,
big
he won
time,
that
didn't he?
massive. Yeah, he won the. I won the Tulloch on him, but
Mm.
he was. I won the Chipping Norton, the Tulloch, and then he won the Derby.
Then he won the Derby.
But he was a very good miler who just happened to be able to relax well and run a mile and a half.
Yeah.
And Jimmy, you won a Derby for the horse is called Dr. Grace.
Dr. Grace
Oh,
It was
yes.
actually trained
by Dr. Jeff
by a doctor.
Chapman.
Now, is this a doctor of philosophy or a doctor because he did something good at uni one day, or is he an actual
Doc, if
doctor?
you're watching, you are the doctor of all doctors, mate. You were the king. Great man, the doc. Early 80s, I was lucky enough to meet him. Rode a lot of horses for him, living at Rose Hill. Got the chance to ride Dr. Grace. I won a few on him, and then obviously I won my first Derby on him for the doc. Owned by a great man, John Danoon. Yeah, great memories, that one. And then I think one of the great Derbies I won was on a horse called Innocent King for Kerry Jordan.
Oh yeah, what a horse!
And he was a nothing bred horse out of a nothing mare, owned by a great little bloke called Billy Sang. He won the Rose Hill. He ran third in the Canterbury Guineas. I won the Rose Hill Guineas on him, and then he went to the Derby. And I thought he could win the Derby, but he was not a flash horse. He wasn't a headline horse, but he was a good, tough, hard, everyday horse you'd want to ride in a Derby.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I had a beautiful run, got to the top of the straight just before the corner, and I had Grant Cooksley outside me on captive edition. Well, Cookie thought, geez, Pump, you're going better than me. He said, I might just sort of give you a little bit of a wake-up. So, bang, up the fence I went, down. I thought the Derby's all over. So I got balanced again, got him back up, and he got back up and won the Derby.
Not often they do that.
They don't do that. No. Dummy Smith said to me, he said, I don't think Kingston Down could have done that.
Oh, brilliant.
I said, Tommy, but Innocent King did.
So good.
Yeah, he
So
was.
good.
He was. That was a great Derby. Great performance to get up and win. And then, obviously, my last one for Bart, I was sort of probably one of the last jockeys available. I didn't have a ride in the Derby. Bart found out I didn't have a ride, so he rang me and he goes, will you ride Roman Emperor? And I said, yeah, I'd love to, boss. And he said, don't worry about his form. He said, this horse can win if you ride him the way I tell you. And it was hard riding for Bart in the respect when you drew wide and you wanted to go forward. And I said to Bart, can I please go forward? He said, if you go forward, don't be any closer than fourth. And I'm scratching my head and I thought, geez, first time I'm going to be running second. How am I going to keep coming back? Anyhow, things planned out. I was positive. As Glenn said earlier, find your mark, no matter what race it is. I was positive, come out. I end up sort of 4 back, running about 6th. And Bart said to me, as he legged me on, he said, I don't mind you going forward. He said, but remember one thing. I said, what's that, boss? He said, the winning post is at the bottom of the straight, not the top. So straight away, Bart meant, sit, wait. And I remember at the 800, McAvoy was outside me on the favourite of Godolphins. And Macca goes, move in, Jimmy. I said, get Kieran. And as it turned out, I beat Macca half ahead in the Derby.
So good.
Move out, Jimmy. Get Kieran. And Bart said to me, he said,
How
when
good.
you top the rise, he said, if you can't count to 10, try and count to 9.
Yeah, fair enough.
And I won the Derby.
You did.
So that was one of my
Brilliant.
great thrills riding for Bart.
Oh, dear.
I don't think he'd won a Group 1 in Sydney for about 10 or 13 years. So it was a good turnaround for me and a great thrill to do that for Bart.
And a bloody good yarn to
Talk
boot.
about funny things, stories about that. I was riding 100 to 1 shot. I picked up the ride. I had one scratch and I picked up a ride, and I was riding the shitter in the Derby, and Josh Parr was riding one for Newman.
Mark Newnham.
Mark Newnham.
yeah.
Mark Newnham. Anyway, I'm 6th one off, and he's 5th on the fence, and he's on his chance, right? And he's trying to come out on me. I said, Just wait,
Just
Joshy,
wait.
just wait. I'll let you out when you should be going. Not now.
Not now.
And he's going, Bossy, go on. So anyway, I'm sitting there because I just can't move out of the
No,
way.
of course you can't.
So my horse started to tire. I could feel I'm tired. I said, "Now, go now, Josh." And he went then and he won the Derby.
He won the Derby.
If he got out, if he tried to push me at the half mile, he would have got there way too early.
Too
and he
early,
would've
run
got
down.
beat.
Yeah.
You know, but
Did he
things
say
like that.
thanks?
Yeah, he
When
did
you got
actually.
back?
He did actually. He did thank me because he would have up because he was, he thought it was on a chance, and I said, "Mate, no, wait, I'll let you out, but not now."
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, it's a great race, the Derby. It brings out the best in the 3-year-olds, the ones that can really run that mile and a half tough. And nothing better.
And it's a classic race for us because
It's
it's
a
the right
classic
time of the
race.
year for the 3-year-olds. You know, as you
Exactly.
say, they're not as mature in the spring. They're very immature
Oh,
baby
yeah.
3-year-olds, and they're asked
Yeah.
to run over
Has
2,500.
to run 2,500.
And you bring
It's
them
hard.
back in the autumn, and they're much more mature. It's a proper race.
Well, today has proven again that the thought of racing to evolve to the next step in a broadcast sense is
Yep.
to get microphones out there during a race because I'd love to hear this shit. when
Oh
it's
my
happening.
God, no!
Well, I'll tell you what,
Somebody
it's only a
has.
matter of time. I wish it happened in my day. Wish it happened in my day. Microphones on the jock. I reckon the trainers will be sitting there with a button soon and go, be able to push it and go, get going, Jock. Get going. Earpieces sort of throwing out as you got the half mile.
Yeah, you see all these jockeys going
See
past
all these white things
High
getting
Street.
thrown out.
all these earpieces along the uni in New South Wales.
They'll be mowing on a Sunday going ding 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 ding.
Before we get
Yeah,
to
right.
Bossy's best and Pumpers picks, a reminder about IPE events.
Yep.
The crew, you had a great day, Bossy, on
Slipper
Slipper Day. We've got more great events through the year. ipevents.com.au. Check them out for all your corporate experience or just having a great time when you don't have to worry about getting tickets and getting in and standing in queues. Everything's looked after when you get the seat with IP Events. Hit them up, ipevents.com.au. We've got the Lions tour later in the year. There's the Melbourne Cup Carnival, which is always a big one as well. So, yeah, get involved, Bossy.
Oh, it's the best, mate. They did the Formula One, rolled straight into the slipper, and I was there for the slipper. Geez, we had a wonderful day.
Great stuff. Now it's time for this. Bossy's best, the tips for Doncaster Derby Day, 4 Group 1s. Looking forward to them all. Pumper's going to chime in with his thoughts as well. He's busily doing some last-minute form there. But, Bossy, I'll go to you first. The size produce. So, on for the slipper. Some horses stayed away from the slipper for this one. It is a Group 1 over 1,400 metres. Some are backing up.
Yep,
What do
the
you like?
$1 million size, 1,400 metres for the 2-year-olds. It's very hard to split Woverton and Rivellino out of the slipper. The Rivellino was exceptional. Missed the start a bit, never got into the race in the slipper, but his sectionals getting home were unbelievable. He looks like he's got 1,400 written all over him. Very hard to split these two, but I thought there was another one, this State Visit. That might be the one that runs super.
For Kieran Maher, Jason Collett.
Yeah,
on.
Jason Collett.
Number 5
I'm
State
telling you,
Visit.
This
Odds
is a
as
really
well.
nice horse. I believe he'll run strong 1,400 in a mile.
Its win at Canterbury, first up, was outstanding.
Did you see its
I seen it.
You see its next run?
I actually had a little
in the
nibble on it.
Pago?
Only had a lazy 200 each way on it the day it won first up, but I did follow it up. And I'm with you, Bossy. I'm sticking with the top 3. And it could be the knockout. It's a lovely, lovely filly.
Well, it drew wide in the Pago, and he had to get dragged out of the race. And he was in no position to run well, and he did. So he's a horse.
And I tell you one thing, there's no jockey riding better at Randwick the last 2 years than Jay Collett.
Geez, he rides well.
Yeah,
He's riding Randwick terrific.
Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant.
there you go. Strong push for 1 at odds there from
There we
the
go.
boys.
Yeah, it's good odds. I slipped in and had a little sneaky something early this morning at 12-1. It's into 11.
There you go. It wasn't small then.
It was only small.
Wound it in. Resetting the market. Jay Cassidy. TJ Smith Stakes, 1,200 metres, Group 1, named after
The great man.
the great
great
man
man,
who
yep.
we've told some great stories
Yep.
about today. Interesting field. Doesn't have the out-and-out superstar, perhaps, that
No,
we've
it's-
seen of a
no.
TJ
Even
Smith.
race. Even race.
But have we got one here? Have we made sense of it, gents?
Well, it's a good even race this year. I thought Jolly Star, she's coming off that Newmarket win. Very, very solid. I thought Overpass, geez, he's solid, this horse. He's amazing first up.
He's terrific first
Oh,
up,
gee,
isn't he?
he's a horse that, he's got such a great record now, and he seems to be always under the radar. And Jimmy Star on that awful track at Moonee Valley, where it was just mad leader bias, he made up really good round in the William Reid. He's a very good horse. So they're my ones. They're my
I'm going to
three.
stick with Jolly Star, the mighty Zoo Star mare. I love the Zoo Stars. I'm with Bossy. Overpass. I don't think there'll be a horse in the mounting yard that looks as good as he will look. He's flying Bjorn Baker. His horses look terrific. Josh Pars loves riding for Bjorn, and this horse is going good. The other one I liked at a bit of odds was Magic Time.
Oh, yeah.
Graham Begg.
The man.
He always comes to Sydney and has luck. As we know, he's from Sydney, but comes up from Melbourne. Jordan Childs and him, their combination is like TJ and Mick Dittman. They're flying. Wherever they go, they're competitive, hard to beat. But I think if they beat the top weight Jolly Star,
Yeah, or the favourite Jolly Star.
Yep.
Overpass. I don't know if Bjorn Baker can hypnotise the horse to tell it it's actually going to Perth to run
yes,
because it flies over there. It's very good here, but
Yep.
when it goes west, it's incredible.
throws a leg, doesn't it?
Absolutely. So there's the push for the boys on the TJ Smith. The Doncaster, the Group 1, over the mile, won 7 times by Glenn Boss. Has Glenn Boss got a winner for us in this one?
I like, the George Ryder form was always great form. I thought Tom Kitten was outstanding. Drawn a decent barrier. He's going to get a good run. Gringotts obviously won the race. He's a chance. But Tom Kitten has had a very good prep. So I like him. I think there's one that big odds, Iona Merck, which will run very well.
Do you?
Yep. And
You own a Merc?
Iona Merck. That's the name of the horse. He come through. He won the Liverpool over Group 3 Liverpool, and then won the Ajax, another Bjorn Baker runner.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll run out of its skin.
66 to 1.
Yep. And Baker.
Go again.
Linebacker with 49 kilos has to run well.
Yeah. He'd be your lightweight knockout there. But you've gone, so on top.
Tom Kitten, Gringotts, Iona Merck, linebacker.
Okay. So multiples, but Tom Kitten on top.
Yeah, I just think there's a bit
G-Boss.
of timing about this horse, and since he's been gelded, he's just a different horse. So
Yeah.
he's always been highly talented. So I think this high pressure mile will suit this horse.
We'll wait and see. Pumper, you got to take.
I'm going to stick with the George Ryder form,
Mm.
and it's certainly not linebacker or Tom Kittens. I'm going down to the First Lady in Racing. She's won a lot of Doncasters.
Yes.
She knows how to win at Randwick. I think she's turned this horse around. His run was good the other day. I know he led 19, Timmy Clark, Royal Patronage.
Royal
Patronage.
Patronage.
Yep.
Gee, I think it's going to run well.
He's in good form.
It's dropping from 59 to 54. Gai, Timmy Clark. That's what the pump's backing.
Okay. The ones I can't work out are the 2 Wallow Yulong runners,
Yes.
the
Can't.
imports.
Yeah.
Well,
You've
Zach's,
got to look and see.
Anisette
Zach's
and
over to
Moira.
ride one.
Yeah. He's riding Moira, who's
Moira.
probably the more highly credentialed one going in, but it's a complete dart throw, isn't it? You
yeah,
just don't know.
It is.
It's a dart throw.
The only thing that gets me is has he convinced Chris convinced Zach to come, or have the owners got Zach to come? Because this horse has got 54 kilos, and Zach don't ride 54 very often. So my thinking is that Zach's not coming there to play marbles.
Yeah.
So if Waller's got a smoky, it may be it.
Well, it's been drawn in Malabar in 21.
Yeah.
So it's going to have to come across from another suburb. Is that a
Yeah,
problem?
but that's nothing. Bossy's won from outside. I've won from outside at Randwick, whether it's the Doncaster, the Epsom, or a class,
It's a great start.
run over a mile. It's a
one of
great
the
start.
starts, yeah.
Gets jockeys thinking, get them in the right spot, put them to sleep.
That sums up the Doncaster. So Jay Cassidy has gone Royal Patronage. You've gone Tom Kitten.
Yep.
And we're making cases for about half the
That's
half the field.
That's
Yeah,
a,
look,
it's a great handicap.
We could
see?
have them on a dart board, throw the dart, and you'd probably be happy to back any one of them because that's the great thing. Handicap, mile, Randwick, can't get any better.
Big fields too.
Big fields.
That's why your multiple could come into play.
Yes.
Good for the
form
punters.
you've
Owner
chosen.
Merc.
So box them up and see what happens. And then to the Derby.
Derby, yep.
The Group 1 Australia, the Group 1 ATC Australian Derby over 2,400 metres. It's just after 5 o'clock, so the crowd's going to be well into it by this stage before they head back over the back for the concert that the ATC put on these big days. So Will He Do It is the one. It's the New Zealand Derby winner who's come across.
Yes.
I'm not saying he's the one. It's number 1 saddlecloth. And all the way down the bottom is the other one well in the market, Aliana, the filly, number 18. In between there, is there anything that you can see knocking off either of these two?
The Quinella from the New Zealand Derby, the Doctor of Love, will run very well. And Chanois, who won the Alistair Clark, is in great form. So it's going to be Blake Shin rides.
Yeah.
No one riding any better.
No, Kieran Maher trained.
Yep.
Kieran Maher trained horse. It has to be in the top 4.
Yep. So which one are you putting on top overall, Bossy?
Will He Do It? Aliana, Doctor of Love, Chanois.
In that order. There
Well,
you
that's in the box them up.
Box them up. Okay.
I'm going to stick with Aliana.
You're going against the Kiwi.
Yes.
Even though Chris Waller's a
It
Kiwi.
was very good.
Chris is a Kiwi. Look, he's taken everything before him. He's obviously given this a great thought. Take on the boys, not the girls. That's a plus for me. He doesn't make many mistakes. Bit like me and Bossy. Will he do it? He's really gonna test her.
Yeah.
She's going to have to pull out everything to beat him, I believe. I thought he was so good in New Zealand. If he settled in and done everything right, he's going to take a lot of beating. But I'm going to stick with the filly on top to beat the colt.
Jimmy, thanks so much for coming along to Who's the Boss once again. We'll get the encore of the encore of the encore. We'll get you on again, no doubt, absolutely. But you're going to head out for the championships?
First of all, always a pleasure to be here with the great man. Yes, I'm going out. I don't get to the races very often, but Ladbrokes, we've got a big day out there, a lot of clients. Taking my wife Vicky and my daughter Piper out, so they're going to have a wonderful day. I'm looking forward to it. Get down to the mounting yard, see a few of the boys. Wish him good luck. See those get those vibes, the blood pumping through the veins again, even though I'm not out there doing it, but still be part of it.
Yeah. You'll hear the voice of TJ somewhere as well.
Oh, you never stop hearing him.
What would he be saying?
TJ.
Legging one up in a favoured one in the Donny or the...
Yeah.
Just don't this up, son.
Give it like an hope, son. Give it every hope.
I've had a good bet here. Don't up.
I've been up since 3:30 this morning counting the money to put on it.
Bossy, how good was that? Good times, mate. Enjoy the day. You're heading out as well? Or you're
No,
back home and
I'm
you're
going to be
watch?
watching from home, but probably wishing I would be there because it's my favourite day.
Yeah.
And I've been to a few of them, obviously, but I'm looking forward to just sitting back and watching on the couch and then breaking it all down after it's all said and done.
Yeah, that's the great thing. Reviewing, seeing who's been doing this, and who's doing that.
Watching your mates win
scratching your
races is
head
great fun.
Seeing the boys do all the celebrations, nothing better.
Brilliant, guys. Thanks.
Thanks
mate.
so much.
Join your pumps.
Well done, Bossy.
Yeah, brother. Love you, mate.
That was
you
Who's the
too.
Boss. If you like our content, hit the like button somewhere down here.
And if you want to subscribe, right here.